It is Sunday, February 1st of 2015. I'm standing in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, engaged in my alternative spiritual practice of protesting against Unitarian Universalist injustices, abuses, and hypocrisy, which include, but are by no means limited to, the misuse of Canada's archaic blasphemy law by the Unitarian Universalist Association in clergy abuse, cover-up, and denial legal bullying. I just did a little half-hour monologue about the fact that the UA hired Stikeman Elliott, barristers and solicitors, litigation lawyer, to falsely accuse me of the archaic crime of blasphemous libel on Friday, June 1st of 2012. The letter was actually written on May 29th and signed by Maitre Colombe, but I first received the arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter that he wrote by email, a PDF attachment to an email on Friday, June 1st, 2012. So that was the first that I became aware of this immoral, unethical, and borderline criminal attempted misuse of Canada's blasphemy law to try and intimidate me into removing blog posts about certain Unitarian Universalist ministers who are in fact guilty of engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape, who were in fact tried and convicted of committing such despicable crimes as pedophilia and or rape. In fact, most ironically, at the time that I was served with this cease and desist demand letter, I hadn't actually blogged about any pedophile Unitarian Universalist clergy. I had blogged about a Unitarian Universalist layperson who, to the very best of my knowledge, was not ever a Unitarian Universalist minister, who was convicted of the forcible rape of preteen children, amongst others, female family member, also a neighbor's daughter. So there was two children clearly identified in the news reports that spoke about Richard Buell being convicted of the rape of minors. But to the best of my knowledge, as I said, Richard Buell was not actually a Unitarian Universalist minister, so he was the only Unitarian Universalist minister, a Unitarian Universalist, who I described as a pedophile rapist on the blog, because that's exactly what he was convicted of. The other Unitarian Universalist minister that I blogged about was Reverend Mac Wallace Mitchell of the Northborough, Massachusetts congregation. I think he was also minister of the Westborough, Massachusetts congregation. It seems that at the time, in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, he was actually minister of two congregations at once. But in any case, Reverend Mac W. Mitchell was charged with the rape of teenage Tibetan refugees who he had lured away from their families in India with promises of a better life in America. He would take them under his wing, make sure that they had a better life, made sure that they got a good education. Well, they got a good education, all right. He repeatedly raped them over a period measured in years. He was finally denounced by one of his victims. The victim actually denounced the minister to some church members. In other words, the victim, as I understand it, did not go directly to the police herself, but told some members of the Unitarian Church that the Reverend Mac Mitchell was a minister of, I believe the Northborough one, about what was going on. it seems clear that some of the Unitarian Universalists that were made aware of this behavior of Reverend Mac W. Mitchell did try to cover it up. It's clear from a newspaper report that either the local congregation or the Unitarian Universalist Association, I would say most likely the latter organization, tried to have Reverend Mac Mitchell's victims sign confidentiality agreements so that they would not speak about what happened, which of course would mean that he couldn't be charged, tried, and convicted of rape. But what happened is that some of the local church members who Reverend Mac W. Mitchell's victims had reported his behavior to decided that the best thing to do was to report the alleged rapes to the police, which they did, and that of course sabotaged the efforts to have the girls sign a confidentiality agreement, which would have kept everything secret. Good day, sir.
Determined.
Yeah. Sometimes you have to be determined when you're dealing with this kind of crap. You waiting for 104 now, or?
104.
Right. I didn't notice if one came by or not. So, anyhow, just continue our little monologue here. Yeah, we got a fair number of sparrows this morning coming out to say hello. Okay. Oh yes, the old wayside pulpit, or as I like to refer to it, the wayward pulpit, as it were. Nul besoin de penser comme l'autre pour s'aimer l'un l'autre. So this is a French translation of a François David saying, or Francis David saying, or indeed Frank David, or Frank David, Czechoslovakian Unitarian from the 16th century, if I'm not mistaken. And the standard English translation of those words that he spoke were, or are, we need not think alike to love alike. So there it is, and this is what the Unitarian Church of Montreal has been displaying on its wayside pulpit for some time now, I think more than a year. And yet it's incredibly hypocritical, because when you express disagreement with Unitarian Universalists, even in a very civil and reasonable manner, you are very often met with a very unloving response. I think we can safely say that the Unitarian Universalist Association's false blasphemous libel accusation against me in an effort to cover up and hide the fact that certain Unitarian Universalist ministers are in fact guilty of engaging in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape is an incredibly unloving response to my not thinking alike with the Unitarian Universalist Association. And it's not only unloving towards me personally, it's unloving towards the victims of Reverend Mac Mitchell and other Unitarian Universalist sex criminals, pedophiles, rapists, you name it. For the UUA to try to intimidate me into removing blog posts about Unitarian Universalist pedophiles and rapists by citing Canada's archaic blasphemy law, effectively threatening me with criminal charges, potential 2-year jail term if I was found guilty of blasphemous libel. Well, no, not very loving really, is it? So that is that. I mean, I could go on and on and on about how Unitarian Universalists behave in a manner that makes a total mockery of that saying, we need not think alike to love alike. but that's one of the most recent. And no, unfortunately, all this talk about love on the part of Unitarian Universalists is a gigantic pile of bullshit in my view. It's a incredible hypocrisy. They talk about love and yet behave in incredibly unloving ways. Even ignoring this protest is incredibly unloving. Just not necessarily opposing it, but just pretending that you're a non-person, that your grievances with the church have zero validity. That is quite unloving, especially when I can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that actually, pretty well everything I'm protesting is valid. I can present plenty of evidence that every single picket sign slogan is supported by provable facts. So, like I said, right now the picket sign in my right hand, which is part of a two-part slogan, says Unitarian Universalists misuse Canada's blasphemy law to, and in my left hand, cover up and deny pedophilia and rape. Well, that's an entirely truthful statement. There's nothing even remotely false about it, really. The Unitarian Universalist Association did in fact have me served with a arrogant and aggressive cease and desist demand letter, in which they falsely accused me of the crime of blasphemous libel because I allegedly made, and this is an exact quote from the letter, allegedly made unfounded and vicious allegations to the effect that ministers of the association engage in such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So they're clearly trying to pretend that I've made false allegations about Unitarian Universalist ministers engaging in pedophilia and rape when I'm doing no such thing. The few people that I blogged about, one of whom wasn't even a minister, to the best of my knowledge, were charged, tried, convicted, went to jail. Nothing unfounded about saying that they were pedophiles and rapists. They were convicted, went to jail.